You're listening to WTIM, your information station. It's time now for your expanded local news. The Taylorville Park Board met on Monday evening to discuss business, pay bills, and hear from various committees at their monthly meeting for June at Manners Park. Sherry Craigs, who heads the pool committee, spoke regarding the Manners Park pool construction efforts. The board is accepting bids again after the loan bid from last month had been rejected. Craig says multiple bidders are expressing interest this time around.
Good news is we're having a lot of interest in bidding, a lot of contractors contacting us, and I think that there's a new sense of urgency and interest, cooperation, team building. I think we have a fresh start, and I look for us to rapidly get through this. And hopefully I'll have a lot more for you by our next meeting.
The Park District had been considering buying property adjacent to the Don Bragg Sports Complex. Craigs reports that she was presented a price tag of $100,000 per acre and felt this is out of reach of the Park District.
I drove by and I looked at the property and I know the amount of money he's asking.
It's like almost $100,000 an acre.
It's ridiculous. It's just nothing that we can't even.
And we don't need it and we can't afford it.
It's not necessary and we can't afford it.
No, and not only that, but then you have to pay for the parking lot and the road extension and everything. Yeah,
No,
okay.
I mean, idealistically, yeah, it'd be wonderful. Realistically,
Have somebody come in and do it for us, right?
We can't do it.
Okay.
Maintenance Superintendent Ben Dempsey gave an update on facilities. He says there has been progress involving the flagpole at Janes Park, the sign at the Don Bragg Complex, and lights at the baseball field.
We got the flagpole installed at Janes Park. Looks great. You guys did a good job on that.
Yeah, thanks, Sherry.
Excuse me, yes, thank you for that. The Don Bragg sign's been installed. We got the landscape block around it. We've got some rock inside of it. So we're just waiting on getting the support beams off there and the caps on it. Mowing, weed eating as usual, preparing ball diamonds as needed. And we finally got the lights fixed up at the half-ligger field. Amber came in and brought their boom trucks in, was able to get up there and get the lights all fixed. There was an issue with some wiring on one of them, so they went ahead and fixed one of those. Now all the lights at the big diamond work.
Okay.
Recreational Director Jessica Franks spoke about the many events going on this summer and in the future. In addition, she says planning for events in December has already begun.
Getting ready to start working more on the fall festival with the Y. We're going to add some stuff. The Christmas schedule is almost completely done. So like Santas are confirmed, everybody's confirmed and good, which seems insane for June. But
Well,
here we
That's
are.
what you have.
how did the concert on that Saturday go?
It was good, actually. Whenever I came, there were about 110 people here. So they were very, very happy, especially for the first year. They're wanting to start doing more. And I was asked about trying to help them find somebody to come in, but I think they don't realize the price that's associated with bringing somebody in, even if it's pretty basic. So they're working on asking some people to help them pay for it. And
yeah.
so if they want to build on their event, that's great, but it's another one of those that's not a park event, it's a private event. And so we'll let them do what they can. We've got the concerts and movies that are still coming up for the summer.
In new business, the board discussed the Park District's contract with Lakeshore Golf Course, but they did not take any action in that matter. The board approved a motion to keep the employee incentive or overflow fund as is. The public portion of the meeting lasted 44 minutes until the board went into a brief executive session thereafter. The next park board meeting is tentatively set for June 28th. The Kitchell Park Popcorn Festival proved itself popular in its first year last summer, and the Pana Parks Revitalization Committee has plans and changes for improvement in 2025. From pageants to parking, the PPRC is looking to make their second annual Popcorn Festival even better. Featured again this year will be a 5K, dog show, volleyball tournament, and more, with additions like a 3-on-3 basketball tournament and paddle boat races. Nicole Blodgett is the president of the Pana Parks Revitalization Committee, and she starts by talking how the festival got its start in 2024.
Two of our members, Frank and Carol Albright, they've been great community members for many decades here in Pana. They just like to travel, and so they go to different states, and they've seen all kinds of different festivals and things, and we were just trying to think of a fundraiser that would bring several people to it and something that we could do to make a little more money than our normal cookouts and things like that. So they ran across the popcorn festival. There was one in, I think, Vincennes, Indiana, maybe one up in Michigan that they had also seen. So they brought the idea to our group, and we decided we would think about it. Well, then when Great Western Products came, it was the popcorn factory, when they came and built their new facility there in Pana in the industrial area, it just kind of made sense. So we asked them if they would like to come on board with us, and it would kind of be a way to kind of welcome them to the city. And they wanted to be a platinum sponsor right away. They said yes.
Blodgett highlights the many different activities and tournaments that will be taking place. If golfing or running isn't your thing, their pickleball, kickball, and cornhole tournaments might be more your speed.
One thing I wanted to make sure to mention was all day long there is free popped popcorn the whole day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's provided by Great Western Products, our platinum sponsor. So that's a huge reason to just come out to the park anyway. So after that, we have the 5K run, which will actually take place at the high school just for safety. We've got the 5K run, and then after that is a Little Pops run for kids ages up to 10. So those can be registered for online. All of our registration forms are on panapopcornfestival.org, or we also have a Facebook page, Pana Parks Revitalization Committee. We have a golf tournament that will be at the country club there just east of Kitchell Park that starts in the morning, and then also a sand volleyball tournament. Then we also have a 3-on-3 basketball tournament on our new court that we have there at Kitchell Park. And then we also have a pickleball tournament over in the pickleball and tennis area. Then about 9:15 is when the
Even after an ambitious first year of hosting the Kitchell Park Popcorn Festival, Blodgett shares about some of their newest events.
The new items we did, we're trying the timed paddle boat race. Then we're having the car and motorcycle show. We had a Jeep show last year, but we wanted to open it up to cars and motorcycles also this year. And then the climbing wall and the larger blow-up slide, we were adding that in this year for some of the bigger kids. And everything. The 3-on-3 is new because we resurfaced the court, so we thought that we'd be able to get that set up and have safe play, for everybody on there. So everything else we actually did last year.
While the Popcorn Festival is one of their busiest times of the year, the Pana Parks Revitalization Committee has plenty of other projects throughout the rest of the calendar year.
Well, like I said, we started, we were painting some of the playground equipment when we had older playground equipment, chain link fence around the pool, light poles and everything like that. And then the Chautauqua had been redone about 15 years ago, as well as our Skylar Bridge over the lagoon. But everything just, comes due again where it needs to be redone. So we've done the resurfacing of that bridge and repainting. We repainted the entire Chautauqua here this past year. We've tried to add lighting to the tennis and pickleball areas where we painted pickleball lines in the last couple of years because that's becoming more popular for all ages. We've done other things where we've helped meet the match amount from the city for a grant when we got the large playground area. It was a Ruby Munson-Meyer donation that helped spur that grant. And so we helped with the match portion to get the walking sidewalk around the lagoon. You can see people around there every day, and it's just really nice to see people out and being active in the park and enjoying being outside. So we also have one of our committee members likes to do a lot of the memorial gardens and kind of keep those up and looking good. So
Find out more about the Pana Parks Revitalization Committee and their Kitchell Park Popcorn Festival by visiting panapopcornfestival.org. You can also visit them at their Facebook page. Nicole Blodgett appeared as a guest on the WTIM Pana Morning Show. The American Red Cross is urging the public to take steps to stay safe from extreme heat. The guidelines come amid such conditions across the country. The Red Cross gives 3 key tips for protection: stay hydrated, stay cool, and stay connected. They recommend drinking a cup of water every hour, even if you are not feeling dehydrated, and avoiding sugary, caffeinated, and alcoholic drinks. People should spend as much time as possible in air-conditioned spaces, whether at home or at a cooling center or some other public place. Finally, they suggest checking in on loved ones to see that they are well and that they are safe. Athletes and those who work outside should take breaks in the shade as often as possible and drink a cup of water every 20 minutes. Those with pets should ensure their pets have access to fresh water and shade. As always, never leave a child or pet alone in a parked car. The Red Cross also urges the public to watch for signs of heat illness. These illnesses can include heat cramps, exhaustion, and heat stroke. Heavy sweating and muscle pain can be signs of heat cramps. Those experiencing heat cramps should stop what they are doing, find a cool place to get rest, and slowly drink water. If symptoms persist for more than an hour, get medical help. Heat exhaustion can be detected from heavy sweating, weakness, cool and clammy skin, dizziness, fainting, nausea, or vomiting. Anyone with these symptoms should take the same actions as with heat cramps and should also loosen clothing and take a cool wet cloth on the body. Seek medical help if symptoms can include vomiting or those do not improve. Heat stroke can be deadly. This arises in the form of the aforementioned symptoms in addition to a rapid heartbeat and all of a sudden confusion. If this happens, call 911, move to a cooler place immediately, remove extra clothing, and cool down with a wet cloth or bath. The American Red Cross also recommends keeping a cooler filled with ice, food, water, and medicine so they do not spoil if a power outage occurs. The Red Cross has several apps which provide weather and safety information, and they are both available on the App Store and the Google Play Store. This will conclude the first portion of your expanded local news. It's brought to you by F&B in Taylorville.
I'm James Kirk, Vice President at First National Bank in Taylorville. I get it. Switching banks sounds like a chore, but we make it easy. I've helped people and businesses move their accounts with less hassle than they've expected and more personal service than they've ever gotten before. We've been here for nearly 70 years, a true community bank that's not going anywhere. If you're ready to make a change, we're ready to help. First National Bank in Taylorville, first every time for nearly 70 years. Member FDIC.
Research conducted at the Dudley Smith Farm is just as much about shaping policy passed down by lawmakers as it is on benefiting our everyday farmers. This is true for a research project being done by Andrew Margonaut, an assistant professor within the Department of Crop Sciences at the University of Illinois. Margonaut is seeking to demonstrate the balance between row crops and their nitrogen balance. To put it more simply, Margonaut says think of this as a bank account.
Our group at U of I works on nutrients, broadly speaking, from how to make efficient use of the inputs of fertilizer to trying to mitigate losses, which to me is first and foremost an economic loss to the farmer. Then I think we care about the water quality implications of that. And one way to think about how good we are at using our nitrogen is a balance. So balance here is simply, you know what's going on, you know what's coming off of this system.
Okay.
System could be a landscape, it could be a field. That typically is a field context. It could also be a farm with many fields. The reason why we care about balances is that they give us a really rough back of the envelope method to estimate nitrogen use efficiency with all of the concomitant considerations of profitability. So if you've got very low end use efficiency, you're probably not making the best use of those fertilizer dollars for your nitrogen. And there's probably also losses. That's why it's not being used to the environment. So it's a double lose. A balance then is a lot like a bank account balance. It's the same term in that sense. You know what's going into your bank account, you know what's coming out. So for nitrogen, we have interest in understanding the variability and the unknowns and balances.
Nitrogen and its application on fields has come under a microscope in recent years. Concerns arise from potential runoff and how much of that ends up in our water systems. Margonaut says before new laws are imposed on farmers that could dramatically impact yield potential, there needs to be science behind it.
The idea then is that you may have a positive balance of nitrogen. More went on as fertilizer, as manure, than came off with grain harvest.
Okay.
That does not predict with high confidence the losses of nitrate to surface water. In Europe, some governments think it does, enough to use those to regulate ag. And we have a lot of good science, in part with Dudley Smith initiative efforts and farmers across the state, where by virtue of measuring nitrate losses, at the same time that we measure what's going on and what's going off for N, so the balance, we find that the balance cannot predict the nitrogen losses. And this is important to communicate to policymakers like US EPA and others, because we should not follow the European model on this. I'm adamant about that. Part of my job as a public servant for the state's agriculture is not just do research that's meaningful for more profitable crop production, but also keep an eye on the policy to make sure that it's based on science. So those are the two reasons why we are working on balances.
Margonaut shares an example of the extremes that other nations have gone to solve the problem. He believes that through the work being done at the Dudley Smith farm, researchers can provide the needed data to make better informed policies.
For example, I've worked with the Dutch farmers a little bit on this. They have to report their nitrogen balance to the government. I put on 50 pounds as manure, 120 as UAN, and I can account for this many pounds that came off with milk and with grain. And if you're over a certain positive balance, you can't apply more legally. You have to keep records of that. That's an extreme example.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I think, well, personally, I don't agree with that as a scientist. I think there's too much uncertainty scientifically. The soybean is a great example. We assume soybeans are providing all the N for the system, but they're not. The second assumption is that a positive N balance will always lead to, in that same year, nitrate losses through tiles or runoff. So I'm not concerned insofar as through efforts like Dudley Smith initiative, we're getting the largely missing data that's needed to point out, it doesn't really work that way. It's more complicated.
Find out more about the research projects shown and the Dudley Smith farm by visiting dsi.aces.illinois.edu. Andrew Margonaut appeared as a guest on our WTIM morning show as part of our coverage from the Dudley Smith Farm Field Day. Two fallen Illinois State Troopers were honored Tuesday as their names were added to the Illinois State Police Memorial Park Wall in Springfield. In separate ceremonies, families, friends, and fellow officers gathered to pay tribute to Trooper Corey Thompson and Trooper Clay Carnes, both of whom were killed in the line of duty in 2024. Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly said the names on the wall are more than just engraved letters. They represent lives that were dedicated to public service. The memorial wall now bears 74 names, each a reminder of the risks that troopers face every day. ISPHF Executive Director Jared Issenbrung called it a way to honor those who served selflessly and those who continue to carry on the values of integrity, service, and pride. Trooper Corey Thompson was 28 when he was killed on October 18th after completing a traffic safety detail in Champaign County. He was struck by a pickup truck while riding his department motorcycle. He served nearly 5 years with the ISP and is survived by his wife Chelsea, his parents, and his two brothers. Trooper Clay Carnes was 35 when he died on December 23rd while removing debris from I-55 near Shanahan. He was struck by a passing vehicle and later died at St. Joseph Hospital in Joliet. Carnes had served 11 years with the ISP and was assigned to Troop 3. He He leaves behind his wife Megan, 2 children, and a large extended family. The ISP Memorial Park was dedicated in 2018 and stands as a solemn tribute to the ultimate sacrifice made by our Illinois state troopers. Moving now to obituaries, which can be found at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com and are brought to you by Sutton Memorial Home. This is Chad Sparks.
When a loved one passes, grieving family members and friends often are confronted with dozens of decisions about the funeral arrangements. Sutton Memorial Homes in Taylorville and Nokomis have been helping families in the area for over 55 years with these often difficult decisions. They offer pre-planning, traditional funerals, and cremation. Austin and the staff at Sutton Memorial Homes' goal is to make your family's transition easier in their time of need. Sutton Memorial Homes, where caring is what they do best.
86-year-old Norman Verl Ward of Taylorville died on June 19th. Visitation is June 27th from 9:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. at Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Memorial service will be June 27th at 11 a.m. at Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Funeral arrangements are being handled by Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. 49-year-old Nicole or Nikki Deanne Phoebus of Park Ridge, formerly of Taylorville, died on June 16th. Funeral service will be today, June 24th at 11 a.m. at First United Methodist Church in Taylorville. Funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home in Taylorville. And 78-year-old Sharon J. Kuntz of Taylorville died on June 14th. Memorial visitation is June 27th from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. at Calvary Baptist Church in Taylorville. Memorial service will be June 27th at 11 a.m. at Calvary Baptist Church in Taylorville. Interment will be at Oak Hill Cemetery. Cremation rights have been accorded, and funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Taylorville. Get details on these and other local news stories at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com, or you can hear them every single hour on WTIM. WTIM is your only local news radio.
Baseball is a game of agility, power, and speed. That combination provides